What's your I came looking for copper but found gold moment? I offered to help my neighbor move some furniture, expecting to spend maybe an hour carrying boxes. I had no idea what I was actually walking into. This elderly woman had just moved in next door about a month earlier. She seemed nice enough, always waved when I was getting my mail, but we'd never really talked beyond basic pleasantries. One Saturday morning, she knocked on my door, looking a bit embarrassed. She explained that her adult children had dropped off some furniture but couldn't stay to help her rearrange everything. She needed someone to help move a heavy dresser and maybe a few other pieces. Said it would probably take 30 minutes at most, and she'd pay me $50 for the trouble. I figured why not? I wasn't doing anything that weekend, and $50 for half an hour of work seemed like easy money. Plus, she seemed really sweet, and I wanted to be a good neighbor. When I got to her house, I realized the situation was way more complicated than she'd let on. There were boxes everywhere, furniture stacked in random places, and the whole house looked like a disaster zone. She seemed overwhelmed and kept apologizing for the mess. Her kids had basically dumped everything and left without helping her organize anything. She didn't know where to start. Instead of just moving the dresser, I ended up spending the entire day helping her unpack and arrange her whole house. We set up her living room, organized her kitchen, and even hung some pictures on the walls. She kept trying to send me home, saying she'd already taken up too much of my time. But honestly, I was enjoying myself. She had amazing stories about her life and made the best coffee I'd ever tasted. Around dinner time, she insisted on ordering pizza for both of us. While we were eating, she started telling me about why she'd moved to our neighborhood. Her husband had passed away 6 months earlier, and she couldn't afford to keep their old house. Her children lived in different states and couldn't help much with the transition. She'd been living alone for the first time in 50 years and was struggling with everything from setting up utilities to figuring out how to use modern appliances. That's when I learned she'd been eating nothing but cereal and sandwiches for weeks because she couldn't figure out how to use her new electric stove. Her old house had a gas range that she'd used for decades. I spent another hour showing her how everything worked in her kitchen. We cooked dinner together using ingredients she'd bought but hadn't known how to prepare. Over the next few weeks, I started checking on her regularly, just quick visits to see if she needed help with anything or had questions about the neighborhood. She'd always have some small project that needed doing. Programming her TV remote, fixing a wobbly table leg, showing her how to use the internet to video call her grandchildren. What started as occasional favors turned into a genuine friendship. She'd cook dinner for both of us twice a week, and I'd handle any household repairs or technical problems that came up. 3 months later, she had a heart attack while I was visiting. I called the ambulance and rode with her to the hospital. Her kids flew in from out of state, but I was the one who knew all her medications and medical history. While she was recovering, I took care of her house, picked up her mail, and visited her every day. The nurses started assuming I was her grandson because I was there more than anyone else. When she came home from the hospital, she pulled me aside for a serious conversation. She said she'd been thinking about what would happen to her house and belongings when she passed away. Her children lived far away and had their own families to worry about. She didn't want to be a burden on them, but she also didn't want to end up in a nursing home. She offered to leave me her house in her will if I'd agree to let her live there for the rest of her life. She'd pay all the expenses and maintenance, and I'd inherit everything when she was gone. I was shocked. We'd known each other for only a few months, but she said I'd shown her more kindness than anyone had in years. 2 years later, she's like the grandmother I never had. We have dinner together most nights, watch old movies on weekends, and she's taught me how to cook incredible meals from scratch. I went over to move one piece of furniture and ended up gaining a family member and eventually inheriting a beautiful house in the best neighborhood in town.